I have been told that the React Router version 7 documentation site organization, also known as information architecture, is an abomination when compared to the 10 stack router. Although I think this is attributed to people on various quote unquote discussion apps, shall we say, who have only used 10 stack router and or haven't seen the React router's documentation since version 5. So perhaps a tiny bit of confirmation bias might creep into their thinking. Let's have a look at both documentation sites and see what's going on. I'm recording this video on a 1920 by 1080 viewport. Let's look at the landing page for React Router version 7, which of course is wholly dedicated only to the React library for web applications. Starting with version 7, the React Router for React Native mobile apps has been moved out of React Router and into a separate package. Now, right off the bat, I don't know if it's my monitor or my vision, but this graphic here seems like it's a bit blurry to me. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. It might just be me, I don't know. So then we have links to Docs, GitHub, and Discord channel, standard stuff. These two buttons don't do anything. I'm trying to click on it. It doesn't do anything. Let's inspect and see if they are indeed buttons. Nope, just an image. I guess it's a design thing. Okay, great. More information, type safety, that's very important. That's the selling point for 10 stack router as well. Retroact 19. I don't know about this. I did migrate it from V6 to V7. That there was a few breaking changes and it was easy to fix. I think I've documented in my channel. Now, I think this is really helpful. Okay. Um, it offers you different paths to success. You know that Robert Frost poem. Um, anyhow, so this here, I don't know what's happening here. It looks like we can use more padding in this button, but that's just a minor point. Now, if you look at the stats here, this stat is only for React Router. Now, 10 stack on the 10 stack um, site, they list their stat as well for npm downloads. The 10 stack npm downloads include all of their library, not just the one. This is just the one for React Router. And um, so essentially V7 of React Router is essentially remix, merged into each other, right? It's a conflagration, if you will. And it's now owned by Shopify. So Shopify is the single corporate overlord. But be that as it may, React Router is still open source and people can still do a pull request to make contribution to the library. Of course, it'll be reviewed and approved before merger. Michael Jackson, not that Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson that co-created this library have stated publicly that this library will continue to be open source, even under the corporate ownership of Shopify. Clicking on the docs link will take me to essentially the homepage for the documentation itself. 10 stack, on the other hand, It's all things to all people. TanStack Router is its routing offering. And again, this NPM downloads counter statistics is the amalgamation of all of their products. And instead of just one corporate overlord, TanStack has many partners, quote unquote, as you can see here. They also make money by offering paid courses, which they make themselves. The reason why these various tools have the word TanStack in their names is because the founder of the company named it after himself. More power to him. They are his babies, so he has a right to do so. Clicking on the TanStack Router product, it'll take us to the landing page for the product itself. If we click on the Get Started button, essentially it'll land us at the latest version of documents. We have navbar on the left. We have this link called On This Page, which essentially shows us what is currently on the page in terms of documentation in this column here. And then it lists its corporate partners, and we all have to pay the bills. So I'm not hating. And of course, we have ads. Again, people need to eat, people need to live, so I don't blame them at all. Back to the React Router landing page for their docs. In the left nav bar, you have these collapsible section. Most people don't know that, but these sections in the nav bar are collapsible and expandable. But really, there's a little bit of documentation there. But if you the real documentation actually starts when you click on the picking a mode link. And as you can see here, they have the on this page as well. And essentially, they are yet another option for you to link directly to the docs itself, right, within the same view. So essentially, this nav here takes you to a different view. This nav here takes you to the view that's already presented, loaded on the page itself. And on TanStack, it's the same thing, right? And this documentation has been around for, gosh, since the beginning of 2025. And I'm recording this, let's see, today is July 15th, 2025. And just to save everybody a whole lot of time, the information architecture and the availability of documentation feature is comparable for both libraries. And to be completely neutral, I think that both libraries are great because I've used both libraries and I've used multiple TanStack product. If you look at my uh, channel, I have a whole bunch of TanStack query videos. Let's do one more comparison before we reach our conclusion. So back in TanStack Router, let's do a search. Let's say I want to search for file-based routing. And this is what I am presented. I love the font size and the background. It makes it very easy to read. And it explains it simply in a way that I myself can understand. Now that is subjective, right? That is subjective. Everything is based on your language skills. Um, of course, this being English, you can translate it using Google Translate into your native language, but who knows what gets lost in the translation, as the old cliche goes. Let's do the same thing for React Router v7. we'll search here for file-based routing, and essentially we are presented with sort of like a synopsis, and then we are offered a link here and in here. Let's click on this link, and then it takes us to a more in-depth explanation as to what package we need. So I would say that it's comparable, but the wording is different. Now, to be fair, I have found mistakes in the docs for React Router v7. And I mentioned that in my React Router v7 data mode video, but I have made a pull request to have it fixed. It was reviewed and it was merged rather quickly. And I've since made another pull request to fix the docs, a tiny bit at a time, of course, because this is a massive library, and that's been reviewed and merged as well. And of course, I'm doing my part, the old adage, be the change, be the positive change you want to see in the world. I don't think I'm being preachy there. I am mentioning that as a self-directing, yeah, directing myself to be the positive change in the world. So that's why I'm doing my part. But really, when comparing these two libraries, most of the time, we developers don't really have a choice in the matter because the choice was made for us before we got there or before we inherited the project. Now, if we are lucky enough to be involved in a greenfield project and we are in a leadership role, then it boils down to what most of the team is familiar with and or can get up to speed quickly to be productive. Because a majority of the time we work as a development team, not a single lone wolf developer in mom's basement. So the main takeaway from this video is that the React Router v7 docs is by no means inferior to the 10-stack query docs at all, as you can see. Okay, my dear friends, thank you for watching. I hope it was beneficial for you. If it was, please consider subscribing to my channel, and please consider giving this video a like, a thumbs up. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.